Oh, hey, Tyler.
Hey, what's up?
What's with the octopus?
Well, we were talking about anime on this episode. We were
Mm-hmm.
going, so I figured I'd just get into the spirit, kind of slippery.
Please.
Wow. That does, wow, okay.
Please tell me you're not thinking of hentai.
Yeah, it's the same. They're one and the same, right?
No, very,
animes.
very different things. I mean, same animation style,
Right.
but I mean, there are extreme differences.
No, animes, it's the tentacle porn, right?
So you think in Japan they broadcast, like on cable TV for kids, like tentacle porn?
Right, yeah. It's a different culture, Ty, different strokes for different folks.
We're like different folks doing different strokes.
Am I right? Because the porn, right?
Yeah. Just like porn.
It's like the tentacles. Yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead and take this octopus into the other room.
Yeah, please don't do that in front of me. That's too long, man. That's too long.
That's what she said. Hello, and welcome to the TNT podcast, the show where we talk about anything, and I mean anything, except the thing you're thinking of. But I like your style. We'll also be doing whatever the hell else we feel like, because it's our show. We do what we want. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Ty.
Is that like fucking the dude from Lord of the Rings? My precious. What's his name? Smeagol or what? Gollum, yeah.
Smeagol was before he
got all crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gollum's like he talks to himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is that what you were going for?
No, actually, it was a really shitty impression. I was trying to do Ryuk.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
It wasn't that good.
I mean,
I was
it's fine. I kind of understand what you were going for. Ryuk's from an anime called Death Note, an excellent anime called Death Note.
Very excellent.
So I've been trying to get into anime shows, and I've been trying to get Ty into anime shows.
Ty was pretty stubborn.
Yeah,
which is nothing new.
A shocker. Ty was stubborn. But I think for both of us, really, the only anime we ever watched even casually was the Pokemon anime.
Mm-hmm. Gotta catch 'em all.
Gotta catch 'em all.
Pokemon.
How good was the original run of the Pokemon anime,
it was
though?
So great. See, I don't even think about it as being anime.
Me neither.
It definitely is.
Oh, it absolutely is.
But it was just a cartoon when I grew up. It was just, I didn't think about it being different.
Yeah, I didn't think of it as a Japanese cartoon just because I loved Pokemon, and Pokemon had become very Americanized at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it was just the show that was based off like my favorite game, and cards and all that. Pokemon was so huge in the 90s.
It was the biggest thing. I watched Digimon too, and that was also anime, and I think I watched a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh, but not as much.
Yeah, I did too. I was into the cards big time when they first came out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, other than like those were the very I don't know, childish is kind of a negative term, but you know what I mean. They're for kids. 4 Kids. That was the company that made the Pokemon anime.
Was it?
Yeah, it was the number 4 in kids. So anyway,
was it just 4 kids who made it?
The Pokemon anime?
Yeah,
they were in charge of the.
They were just 4
American
children.
Yeah, it was just 4 kids. Yeah, 4 children got together and made the anime.
Pretty talented kids.
I know, right? Good for them. But what was I saying? Yeah, at any rate, 4 Kids was the company that made the American version of they were in charge of like dubbing it and stuff, I think.
Okay.
But at any rate, I watched Death Note a while back on Netflix when I was trying to get myself into different animes and stuff. And
it originally came out in 2006. I think
it's a pretty old one. So, and then I've been watching a few more recently, but I convinced Ty to watch Death Note, and your take on it was...
I loved it.
So good.
Yeah. I had no experience with anime like we were saying before, and I had seen the Death Note movie on Netflix, and not having any reference to the anime, I thought it was just fine. I thought it was a decent movie.
Hot garbage.
I want to watch it again now with the context that having seen all the cartoons. But I mean, what's his face? I can't think of his name.
The main character?
No, the actor who plays.
Oh, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, love him.
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, that was a good part of that movie. But
Yeah, to me, that's the only thing that makes it half watchable, because he's a perfect choice for a live action Ryuk.
yeah,
If you don't know what we're talking about, there's this, they call them like death gods. So they are based,
Shinigami.
Yeah, there's Shinigami, which I think is literally translates to death god in Japanese, or god of death. And so there's a bunch of these weird looking creatures that are Shinigamis in the show, and Ryuk is the main one that you follow because he attaches himself to the main character of the show. And he looks like this weird, kind of almost vampiric demon type guy.
He's very hard to describe.
You just look him up.
He's always got the same expression on his face,
Yeah,
just like a big grin.
And like his face doesn't move when he talks. It's like this whole thing. But anyway, just look up Ryuk, Ryuk. You'll know what I'm talking about. And tell me that it doesn't look like Willem Dafoe.
It does. He's the perfect character perfect actor to play the voice for the live action.
Right. But just the whole plot style and everything, like Netflix really, I don't know, took too much liberty with making their own thing, I think.
Right.
And like I said this to you too, if that movie existed on its own without the anime, it'd be a fine movie.
Yeah, I think that's why I enjoyed it the first time around.
But just knowing what it could have been and what it should have been ruins it.
Yeah. So yeah, like I had no interest in anime at all. And I don't know, you were describing it and you apparently made it sound good enough that made me want to at least give it a try. And from like the first episode, I was hooked, and it just got better and better and better.
And I feel like that's a pretty good one to introduce people who aren't fans of anime that just like a good story, because some animes focus on like the heavy action fights and the over the top kind of anime style shit.
There's almost no fighting.
Right. This focuses very much on story.
Yeah. So much so to the point where it's like 90% exposition.
It really is.
With like the character's internal monologue describing things. And I'm like, wait, what did they just say?
Yeah. And it's so complex too, because the two main characters, Light and L, are like
Brilliant.
super geniuses.
Yeah.
And so, in the storyline, if you don't know, so you can kind of understand what we're talking about, Light is the main character, and he comes across what is called the Death Note, hence the name of the show, which is just a notebook, and if you write someone's name in it, that person dies within 24 hours.
There's a whole bunch of different rules.
Yeah, like, though, if you don't write how, it'll just be like a heart attack, but you can define how they die down to the moment, and it'll happen.
The rules are so oddly specific that it's weird. It's like, if you write down a cause, then you have, 6 minutes and 40 seconds to explain.
Yeah. Yep. It's like very specific.
Yeah.
And that was another cool part about the show, is in between what would have been commercials, it like would show a screen and explain like a rule of the book.
Yeah, each time.
So anyway, Light has the notebook, and he finds out that it actually works and all this stuff. So he kind of gets this crazy god complex where he thinks like he can do everything, you know? And so L is the detective, or he's working with the police force to try to track him down.
He's very mysterious at the beginning. Like, you don't know who he actually
nothing
is.
about him.
He's just a literal L on a computer screen.
Yeah, you don't even see his face for a long time. Yeah. But it's almost kind of reminds me of like the anonymous type videos. You know how they are very secretive and shit. But so Light's a really smart dude, and he's trying to obviously get away with killing people, and he's going after bad people. He's kind of doing justice in his mind.
I think we should specify that he can see Ryuk, because anyone who touches a Death Note can see the Shinigami who's associated with that one.
But Ryuk can't really interfere with what Light's doing.
Right.
Yeah. It's this interesting kind of dynamic between them.
Yeah, he just goes along with it. He's not there to help. He's not there to hinder. He's just
there to kind of watch.
He's there until he loses the notebook.
And then it's his notebook again.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah.
He did it in the beginning because he was bored.
Right.
And he just wanted something to do. So
Ryuk, he was just like, ugh, I'm bored. I'm going to drop my notebook into the mortal world and see what happens. It's so funny, like the death god like world
Yeah.
where they're in. They just like sit around and do nothing because they're super bored.
They're just like playing cards or whatever.
Yeah,
and
like these
just doing nothing.
these literal gods just up there like dicking around.
It's like they said they didn't even like the existence of the Death Note was even lost on them. Like they don't even know where it came from. Mm-hmm. It just lost
exists.
to time. Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, they're the super geniuses. One's trying to get away with it, and the other one's trying to catch him. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, they speak aloud. Well, not aloud, but to us.
Yeah.
Their plans on, if I do this, I think he'll do this, and if I do this, then he might do this.
Yeah,
and,
but is he expecting me to do this and then I'll think this? But if I think this, then he's gonna think that.
Right.
And
But if I
confusing.
yeah, if I don't do this, he'll know that I didn't do that.
Yeah.
It's like this whole back and forth thing where it's like this chess match
or tennis match.
There's an episode where they play tennis for no reason.
It's literally back and forth in their head. They're like, do I go for the win? If I go for the win, he's going to be expecting that. But if I don't go for the win, will he be thinking that I'm just not going for the win so I don't look like I'm...
Right. And they both plan it out like that. And it's so random because that's the only time that tennis is ever mentioned in the show.
And they're both super good at it.
Really good at tennis for no reason at all.
Which we were not given any information on up until now.
No, they just, for no reason, showed up at a tennis court and challenged each other to a match. And
it's like, hey, we're both professional tennis players.
Like, so good.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Light wins in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, because he couldn't give up. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How great is L?
Oh my god. So
you told me before I started watching it, you're like, there's this character, he's my favorite character, his name's L, and he's so weird. When he sits down, he doesn't sit down like actually on his butt. He like squats down like on his feet.
Yeah, like
a catcher would do. Like
kind of like that, except it's it's so awkward, and he holds everything from the top.
Oh my god, he holds it with just two fingers.
Yeah, so like when you hold your phone, you kind of grip it from like the back and the bottom, and you hold it to your ear. Mm-hmm. He takes his two fingers and grabs it from the top edges,
his index finger and his thumb,
and
holds
it to his ear,
really loose. Like,
yep.
There's this screenshot I sent to you, and it was. I had to pause it and take a picture because it was the most funny thing. He's sitting there, squatted on the couch, holding an ice cream cone from the bottom with just his two fingers.
Yeah, he's not gripping it like with all his fingers like a normal person holds an ice cream cone. He's taking his index finger and his thumb and holding the very bottom of the ice cream cone.
It was the greatest thing ever.
And he loves sweets so much. He's always eating some kind of sugary something.
Yeah. He's always like stuffing his face full of stuff.
And
he's always like playing with things, like stacking like coffee creamer things, like.
And he's got this low monotone voice where he talks like this all the time.
Yes
so I guess you're right about that.
Yeah. Oh, he's just the greatest.
He's the best character of all time.
And spoiler alert, 15 years later, so right.
Yes. So if you haven't watched Death Note, it's been out since 2006.
So it's your own fault.
And
spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
He
Fast
dies.
forward eventually. Well, too late. He dies. And it's the worst moment of my life.
It was so bad.
I'm not over it. I'm still not over it.
My mouth was hanging. I saw it, like 3 days ago or so, and I'm still not over it.
I'm not over it. I watched it over a year ago. I am still reeling.
My mouth was just sitting there gaped open like for like the last 3 minutes.
Yep.
I just like, what just happened? Because you were texting me like you're like, something big's gonna happen. I'm not gonna tell you what, but something big, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
I'm like, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
And I'm like, man, it's got to be something really crazy for me to know, because like at first it was because like he gave up his notebook. Mm-hmm. And after he gave it up, he lost all the memories of being Kira, which is what they call, which I assume is Japanese for killer.
It's kind of like, it sounds like killer in English. That's why they used it.
So yeah, he gave it up, and then he eventually got it back and regained all his memories. And I'm like, oh, maybe this is what he was talking about. It's this huge thing because he's got both notebooks. Well, there were two.
Yeah.
We've skipped over a lot, but
We're not trying to give.
We're not giving away the whole thing.
Yeah, he had a girlfriend at one point that also had a Death Note, and he managed to zig and zag his way into this crazy situation where he ended up with both.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe that's what he was talking about. And I texted you. I'm like, oh, shit, he got the notebook back. And then it was
you're like, oh, no.
It was like that next episode. It was either that episode or the next episode.
It happened pretty quick after he got both.
I'm like, no.
Because was he able to get the Shinigami eyes?
No, he never did.
Okay.
No, he never did.
Speaking of that, there's a rule. So much in... This show's so in-depth.
It's so in-depth, and it's so worth watching.
There's a rule where you can get what they call the Shinigami eyes, where you... Okay, so we forgot how to mention exactly how the book works. You have to put somebody's actual name in the book. So L was going by a pseudonym. His name wasn't L. So...
And you have to be thinking of their face.
Right. You have to know what their face looks like, and you have to have their real name.
So, like, it doesn't mix up people who have the same name.
Sure. Yeah. Like, if I put John Smith, well... Not
Lots of those.
Not every John Smith is going to die because that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But so if you have the Shinigami eyes, their name will appear above their head, so you can see somebody's name and face right then and be able to kill them.
But the catch is,
you have to give up half of your remaining life, and you don't know how long that is. So like. The death god knows when you're going to die. Like everybody's time is kind of set in stone in this universe.
Yeah.
So you could be fated to die in 5 years. So you give up half your life and now you only have 2.5.
And they're not allowed to tell.
Yeah, they can't
humans
tell you.
because the numbers aren't the same. Like years and Shinigami's length of time isn't the same. So it's to avoid confusion.
So if somebody was going to live another 50 years, they're only going to live 25 now.
Yeah.
But they have that power.
And Misa does it twice.
Misa does it twice.
Yeah.
She cuts her life by 1/4.
Yeah.
At the end, yeah. But she does it to help Light the one time, doesn't
by
she?
By half and then half again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
So she
doesn't have very long to live, probably.
No, because even if she had, let's say, another 50 years, now she has 12 and a half.
If she had 50 originally,
and then cut that in
25, then 12 and a half.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And that's assuming she had 50.
Yeah. What if she only had 20? Now she's got 5 years left.
All because she was so infatuated with Light.
She was so infatuated with him. Anyway, what was I talking about?
I don't even remember.
I had to explain that for a reason.
Yeah.
Because I was asking if he had the eyes.
No, yeah, he didn't.
So refresh my memory. How did he find out L's real name to kill him?
Okay.
Because he was going by Ryuzaki, which still wasn't his real name.
So he had written those fake rules in the book.
Ah, that's right.
And to test that, the one was if you don't kill every 13 days, then you die. And he was going to have L was going to have some person who was on death row test it by filling out a name and see if they would die after not doing it for 13 days, which would have implicated Misa. And Rem knew that.
Yeah.
So she used, because she could see his real name, L's real name, so she put his name in.
Oh,
so she was the one who killed him.
Rem did? Wow, it's been a while since I watched it.
And since she did
and that's against the rules. You can't do that.
She did that to protect Misa, then she died.
Yeah, because she was in love with her. And that's against the rules, too.
Yeah, if any Shinigami does something to interfere with the death of the person there
of a mortal,
yeah, then they die. That's the only way they can die.
She was willing to do that. Rem broke the rules a lot.
Yeah,
she didn't give a fuck.
No.
Rem was the other Shinigami, the other death god.
Yeah, the one that was associated
that you interacted with. Yeah,
that third one was really weird looking.
Yeah, what was its name? It was
remember.
Something silly.
Yeah, he acted really silly.
He was odd. He had like a high pitched voice.
Yeah, he acted like he was really nervous all the time.
He was super nervous. Whose was he? One of the detectives?
Was it which one was it? I know the bad guy, the one set of bad guys ended up having it.
Yeah.
Mello, is that it? What was his name?
Shit, I don't remember.
The other guy who was at the place with Nier.
Was it Shido? Was that the one?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, he looks like a mummy.
Yeah, and he's got like these teeth.
Yeah,
these barbed
and he
teeth.
talks like super weird, and he always acts nervous.
Yeah, he was really funny.
Dude, even if you don't like anime, like it's such a good show.
I was almost like against anime. Like I refused to watch it because I don't know, but I gave this a chance, and like I tell you, like I'm more interested to try other ones.
It got me into more. I've wanted to watch more since then.
I think though, like I still would want to stick towards the darker things. Like I don't know if it's considered horror or just dark anime, but like I still don't think I would care for like Dragon Ball Z or that sort of thing.
That's fair. I'm kind of the same way. I like horror anime. I like dark stories and like blood and all that shit. And that's what got me into what I'm watching now. I'm watching Tokyo Ghoul, which is a very dark and gory anime, and it's so good.
I want to watch it.
Yeah.
Death Note really isn't all that gory.
No, the story is obviously very dark.
Yeah. But you don't see a lot.
There's not a lot of blood and guts and shit.
For all the killing, most of it is heart attacks.
Yeah, most of it's heart attacks, and even some of the more gruesome deaths that occur, like some of it's implied, and then they do show some pretty graphic deaths, but it's few and far between.
Yeah, it's really not that much.
Yeah, I wouldn't describe it as a bloody anime by any means, but it is dark.
I guessed the end.
You did.
I generically guessed the end.
But I mean, it was hard for it to go any other way.
Yeah.
So, Light succeeded in getting L killed.
Yeah.
And after that, like, L was the one that was trying to figure him out and was close to solving it. And with him gone, Light pretty much became a god. He could do whatever the fuck he wanted, and nobody was going to fucking stop him.
And then they flash forward like 12 years, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And there's a new L, and
Quote,
his name was Nier, and he went to like the same. He was at like the same orphanage that L was at. They actually had a shared backstory.
Yeah.
And he's a super genius as well, and he's kind of quirky in the way that L was, but he's a little different.
I almost thought they were brothers. By
I
the
thought
way,
they were too.
They looked similar and were both quirky.
Yeah, and I think me and Ty kind of had a consensus on this. Nier isn't a bad character at all, and he's super smart, and he's probably the best fit to try to be the new L, but we were so bitter over L dying that we're like, how dare he try to take his shoes?
Yeah,
like,
he was
fill his shoes that he doesn't wear.
Yeah, like that's the one part that gets me about the whole thing, because in the end, Nier ends up, getting the best of Light. And I don't like that he was able to do that, but L wasn't.
Yeah, I'm like, L was way smarter. L was way better than you, and he died and you succeeded.
Yeah.
And I was bitter because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one reason I didn't like the ending. And I was talking to Ty about this. The internet kind of has the same consensus that I did. After L's death, the show just took a complete different turn. The writing didn't seem as good as it was before. And I'm not saying the show sucked by any means. It just felt different.
Yeah, I didn't not like it. I thought it was still good, but yeah, it just wasn't as good.
It was insane though at the very end when they finally painted Light into a box, and he knew he was going to lose, but he couldn't admit that to himself or anybody else. He kept like laughing at him and saying like, "Oh, I'm going to kill you all," and all this shit. Like
he tried to like get the little paper out of his watch to try and write some names down.
But wasn't it like it wasn't actually a piece of the death
note?
No,
it was,
like
but
that?
They just the one guy, I can't remember, the one part of the police force. What was his name? He was Misa's manager for a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
He started. He shot him.
Yeah, and then didn't he like crawl away towards the end?
Yeah, he crawled away and started like running, and Ryuk was like, "I'm not going to let them capture you and put you in jail, because then who knows when you might die."
Yeah.
So
and he wanted to be free of him.
Yeah, so he put his name down. Because he said he told him at the beginning that. Did he say all Shinigami end up putting the human's name in their own notebook. Or he said he told him at the beginning that he would be the one to put his name down.
Yeah.
And he was right.
Yeah, it was nuts because Light was so calm, cool, and collected throughout the whole show and was always in control.
Yeah.
And as soon as he lost control of the situation, his mind fractured.
Yeah.
And he went insane.
When he thought he had won towards the end and he was going, "Oh, I got him, I did all this and this and this," and they're waiting for everyone to die. I'm like,
and nothing
no,
happened.
There's no way that this is going to end.
He thought they were all going to drop dead.
He's being way too cocky here for him to actually get away with it.
Yeah. Yeah, Nier had everything planned out. He knew exactly what was going to happen. It was nuts.
I liked the very last image that you see because didn't he explain early on that like his name Light or like something about the symbol for his name is actually like moon or something like that? And
the kanji, the way Japan does names and their kanjis is kind of weird. So the kanji symbol for moon can also mean light. So when Light writes a kanji that's his name, it's technically moon, but it means light in that sense that it's his name. So
because the last thing they show before they cut to the credits is they show up the moon.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of a little unique.
That was definitely a nod. Yeah, so good.
It was so incredible. Definitely an absolute 10 out of 10.
Yeah, for me too. Yeah, and like I said, even if you're not into cartoons or anime or anything like that, I recommend it because the story is just so unique.
So great.
I'm watching Tokyo Ghoul now.
Yeah, I want to start that. I don't know if I'll get to it right away, but I do want to start it.
I told you a little bit about it. Without going too in-depth on this one because I haven't quite finished it yet either.
And you don't want to give anything away to me.
Right. So I'll be vague enough to give you and people an idea of what it is without spoiling anything. Ooh.
That was a good one.
That made up for the last couple that weren't that great.
Yeah, the last ones were shitty.
So it takes place in Tokyo and there's ghouls.
Oh, so that's why they call it that.
That's why they call it that. I have to be
I'm
Superman 4.
The Quest for Peace.
Oh, that's why they call it that. So, yes, it takes place in Tokyo, and there's these things called ghouls, which they're sort of like vampires in that they have to feed off of humans to survive, but they are like way more powerful than your vampire, like your classic vampire. They have these things that are called kagune, and all ghouls have them, and there's these weird appendages that'll come out of some part of their body, and usually they're like sharp or whatever, and they can like use them to kill or whatever. Like one of them, the main character's, his sprouts out of his back, and it reminds me of Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man. Like it's like 4 red tentacles, but he like uses them to kind of walk around and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And so there's the ghouls, and they have to feed off of people. And then there's a group called the CCG, which is kind of like the CIA or FBI, but their main goal is to try to handle ghouls because it's out in the open. It's not like this weird thing where like ghouls are a myth or something.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows they exist. And so the CCG is what tries to keep them under control and kind of like kill off the ghouls. And so there's this kind of back and forth between them, and the main character is attacked by a ghoul early on. And to save his life, well, what happens is the ghoul that's attacking him ends up getting crushed during the attack and dies. And to save his life, they transmit her organs into him. And he becomes half human, half ghoul because of that. And so he can't eat human food. He still has his human mind and emotions, but he has to feed off of people now to stay alive.
Oh, man.
And so it's this whole thing where he's trying to cope with that and try to live his human life along with his ghoul life, and it's super good.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It sounds really good. How come we don't have shows like that in America?
Because our writing's sloppy.
Like we have all of our cartoons are funny.
Yeah,
like we thrive on adult comedy cartoons.
Right.
Or kids cartoons.
Yeah, that's basically American cartoons are kid shows or like kind of gross adult comedy.
Yeah.
Like, can you think of an American cartoon that takes itself seriously?
I mean, there is that one on Netflix, that Castlevania, that's it's considered American anime.
Yeah, it's the anime style
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So they're taking after it. So, but yeah, not mainstream. No.
Yeah, I can't think of a straight up
Not
just
that's,
American show
on TV. No.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time thinking of anything. G.I. Joe, maybe.
But still, that's a kid.
Yeah, exactly. It's for kids. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I can't think of any adult dark cartoon.
Some might exist. I'm sure maybe something exists, but off the top of my head, I can't come up with anything.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, I guess it's just a Japanese thing. Like, they consider animation not to be necessarily childlike. Because in America, when you think, oh, I'm going to watch some cartoons, you think of it as like childlike. You know? Cartoons are for kids.
Even though Adult Swim cartoons are very much not for kids.
I don't think adult cartoons were a thing for a while. You know, like they were always kind of aimed at a younger audience until shows like South Park and Family Guy started to become more mainstream. The Simpsons was probably one of the earlier ones that was aimed towards an older audience.
South Park was the first one that made it dirty.
Yeah.
Like very much adult.
Right.
Because Simpsons is still for kids.
It's for adults, but it's not like as vulgar.
It's not raunchy.
Yeah, it's not vulgar and raunchy like your South Park and your Family Guys. And
South Park took it
to the next
10,
level.
Like
right
away.
They cranked it up to 11 and ripped the knob off.
Yeah.
So when I started watching Tokyo Ghoul, we've talked about it on the show before how I want to learn Japanese. So there was an option on Hulu to watch it in the dubbed version, which is when they re-record the lines in English, or the subtitled version, where it's the Japanese audio with American English subtitles. American. In America, we speak American. But and since I would like to learn Japanese and I'm trying to learn it, I started watching the subtitled version so I could hear the Japanese while I was watching it. And I soon realized that some of the bloodier parts and the gorier parts were censored. And anime censors it in this weird way where it's like this kind of foggy black bar that goes across the censor or the
very odd.
It is. It's super weird. And so I was like, well, this is dumb. And I Googled it and it was like, yeah, if you want to watch the uncensored, basically you have to have the box set. And I was like, well, that's stupid. And I was actually considering buying the box set. But then a friend at work said, you know, I have the box set if you want to borrow it. And so I did. And so I was talking to you about the show, and I was going to see if my friend was okay with letting you borrow the disc. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to double check and watch the dubbed version because that's what the DVDs were. It was the English. You dropped your phone. Is it okay?
I'm sure it is. It's got a case. I'm just being so disruptive.
Survey says?
It's fine.
Nice. And people say iPhones are so fragile. Anyway. Aww. His background says kitty cat rowdy. Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted.
I'm sorry.
I went back in because the DVDs were the English dub. And so I was like, well, let's just watch that. And the English dub on Hulu isn't censored. And so I borrowed those discs for no reason.
Oh, that's funny.
It's like, I don't understand why. You would think they might censor the English version because a lot of Japanese media does that. Like even Pokemon is censored in certain ways because things that are acceptable for Japanese children aren't considered acceptable for American children.
Yeah.
And so I thought that if anything, they would censor the English dub, but they don't. They censor the original Japanese, which doesn't make any sense to me.
They do, at least on Death Note, they do a good job dubbing because, like, I thought the mouth synced up like really well.
They do that pretty well in Tokyo Ghoul as well. There's some that I've heard people watch. Like, if you watch this anime, watch the subtitle because the English dub is super corny. The voice acting's horrible and stuff like that. But they did a great job in Death Note, and they do a really good job in Tokyo Ghoul as well. So much so that, like, I went back to make sure I wasn't, like, I don't know, hallucinating. Like, make sure I wasn't, like, losing my shit. And I was like, it was censored, right? Like, so I went back and rewatched some of the scenes, and they were speaking Japanese.
Yeah.
And it sounded weird to me because I had grown so accustomed to the English voices now that I was like, that doesn't fit that character. And that was originally what it sounded like.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Did you watch Death Note in English or Japanese?
I watched it in English.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the Netflix version was in English, so I just watched that.
They do have an option to change it.
Do they?
I think so.
I didn't pay attention. I just watched it in English. It's easier to watch because I usually keep subtitles on when I watch TV anyway, because I have this weird thing with my mind. It's not that I can't hear it. It's that for whatever reason, my mind doesn't comprehend it when it's just audio. Seeing it and hearing it at the same time really helps me comprehend what's going on. So I use subtitles anyway. But when it's a different language and I have to read the subtitles to even understand what's going on, I feel like I miss a lot of what's actually happening on screen.
See, I do that anyway.
Really?
Like when you guys, because you guys have the subtitles
We
on everything.
always have them all.
And I feel like I miss so much of the movie because I'm spent there. Even though I can perfectly hear it just fine, my eyes are distracted because they're reading the subtitles that are coming across the screen, and I miss what's happening.
Yeah. When I was young, I hated it. But I want to say since I was like 15, 16, I've always put them on. And so
Can't stand them.
you must hate watching TV.
I do.
with me.
I hate it.
But I've grown so accustomed to it that I'm able to just glance down, look at it, make sure that I'm hearing what I think I'm hearing, and then I can glance back up and I don't miss anything.
See, I always wear my headphones when I watch movies and stuff, and so I can hear it perfectly just fine.
Sure.
But yeah, along the lines of like you wanting to learn Japanese and listening to hearing that, there's a show on Netflix called Ragnarok that's based in Norway. That's all in Norwegian that you can actually like have subtitles for, because that's how they speak it in the movie. I haven't watched it yet, but actually I think it's a series.
Okay. I was gonna ask if it was like what kind of
Like
thing
that's
it was.
like what it's actually filmed in. You can watch it dubbed, but
Right.
it's a little weirder to watch something dubbed real.
That's
like,
live action.
Yeah, not
because
a
they
cartoon.
can't animate the lips to match.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because it's got to be kind of an exhausting process, but the anime style's perfect for it because there's a lot of scenes where nothing's moving except the lips and they're talking. So they can just go back in, cut out the old lips, put in new lips to move at the English words instead of the Japanese words.
Do they do that? Because I thought I was watching something where they said like they don't take the literal 100% translation. They just say something that fits the lip movement that's close to what they said in Japanese.
I know I think it's an option. I've seen them do both.
Because I was watching them do it for Pokemon. The girl who does Ash's voice, she was saying like showing how they do it, and that's what she was explaining.
But I feel like at some point they have to change it a little bit because I've seen sentences and heard sentences where it'll take 2 seconds to say it in English, but it'll take 5 seconds to say it in Japanese. So they at least have to have his face on screen longer or shorter to make it make sense, you know? So
maybe they just add words. I don't know.
Yeah, and like their lips seem to move along right with the English words. So yeah, I feel like there has to be something that goes into it to try to make it match.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not in animation, and
I wish I was.
oh, I wish I was.
Like, I'm not a good artist. I couldn't draw, but
I want to
could be a voice actor.
I could be a voice actor. I mean, we're on the radio.
Dude, there's been some like really bad voice acting that we could have done a totally better job.
I remember some old video games.
Yeah,
and the voice acting is so bad.
The original Resident Evil for the PlayStation.
They're horrible.
Terrible. Probably the worst of all time. Like, but it's still considered like one of the best games ever. But
the game is great.
yeah,
but the voice acting is awful.
God awful.
They're like, "Hey, you, stop right there."
Yeah, and that's not an exaggeration.
It is that bad.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And I love like old games that try to translate from one to another. I remember there's an infamous one. I can't remember exactly what game it is. Somebody will know when they hear it. But they translated it from some other language to English, and a villain was like, "All your base are belong to us." It was like it doesn't translate at all.
I thought you meant it was the game Infamous for a second.
No. Oh yeah, how good is Infamous?
I like the third one. That's the only one I ever played.
I've played them all, and they're just so good.
They are good. Or
I
at
like
least
it.
the one is.
Yeah, because and you've played Second Son. That was the PS4 one, and it follows the basic storyline that the others do. You're this dude with powers, and you can choose whether to be good or evil, and your powers kind of advance throughout the game. And that's how it was in the first two. But you played as a different character in the first two. But
My absolute favorite part of that game, I think we've
The
talked
spray
about
painting.
the spray painting.
So good.
You turn your controller sideways, and it's like you got a spray can, and you even shake it up, and it rattles.
It rattles like the bottle.
And then you like pull the trigger from the side just to spray it. Oh my god!
And you
actually aim it
like
and move
at the screen to make sure you spray through the stencil the right
so
way.
Great. You either
So
choose
cool.
a good one or a bad one.
That was the first thing I did. I went all over the city doing all of those before I did
so
anything
fun.
else.
Oh my god, that was the best part of the whole thing.
Dude, I might play that game again just to
I
do
know.
those.
I kind of want to too now. It's so
well,
weird.
that's all we have to say on that. We're gonna go play.
Like anytime I have a chance to be good or bad, I find it so hard to be bad because like I hate being like, even though it's a video game, I hate being an asshole.
I cannot be mean.
No,
I can't do it.
and I really I need to try that, like, because like in Mass Effect, that's a big part of that too, where you can either be good or bad, and I was always good.
And you and I both love the decision-based games like that.
Oh, that's the best.
And so, but I always find myself being forced mentally to make the moral decision
because I can't be an asshole.
I can't be an asshole. And with games like Infamous, I'll play back through them a second time and be the asshole.
Yeah.
Do you do that?
I think I did once before with Infamous.
Okay.
Yeah. With games like open world games like Fallout, where you can, I don't know how much you played Fallout or if you have it all, but like you can, if you start shooting like good people, like they will all come after you. It makes it so hard to be a bad person in Fallout.
Yeah, it actually makes the game more difficult
because everybody starts coming at you as soon as you appear.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, that guy's a dick. Let's fight him."
Yeah.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Fallout 3. I don't think I quite finished it. I did like
That's
it,
the
but
best one.
for whatever reason, I never finished it.
By far the best one.
Yeah. I remember liking it, but yeah, for whatever reason, I never played. Did you ever play the BioShock games?
Yeah. I don't think I ever beat the second one, but I know I beat the first one and Infinite.
Yeah, those are really good, but I think I finished the first one, and I'm pretty sure I played it through Infinite too. But for whatever reason, those really in-depth like RPG style games where you have to you can decide how you play the game and like what weapons you use and this, that,
'cause
and
you
the
get
other.
different powers and stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like too complex for me to play, and it's not that I'm stupid and I can't figure out how to play it. It's just like I enjoy a more linear type game. That's why I really like the Uncharted's, the Last of Us series, and it's like because there's a set path that you go through the game. You know,
I
what
would
I'm
say
saying?
BioShock is like that. I don't think you can really go exploring in BioShock. It's kind of
Yeah, it's definitely not open world, but
No.
it's
you're pretty much guided along to do this certain way.
yeah, but I never know what to use because there's so many different powers and things. Like
Yeah,
with
you
this-
just have to
you
use
can-
whichever one seems most advantageous at that time.
Right.
Because like each one has its benefits. Especially in Infinite, that I remember, you get so many different. Like you get a burning power and
Yeah.
like a levitating power.
Yeah.
And all sorts.
Yeah, and
of
I never
different
knew
ones.
which one because you can equip one to each hand, and I never knew what to do, and I got frustrated. I would have like some power on the left hand and like the revolver in the right hand, and then like I wouldn't have the right shit, and so it was this whole thing.
That game is so incredibly trippy though. At the end, have you
So good.
Like
Which one?
Infinite. Did you beat it?
It's been so long, I don't remember.
'Cause I'm
That was
pretty-
for the PS3, wasn't it?
I think originally it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they remastered it for the 4.
Okay, I think I had the PS3 version.
But the main character ends up the bad guy is the main character from a parallel universe,
Whoa!
and the girl that you're around with that you rescue in the beginning is actually your daughter from a
What?
parallel universe.
Okay, wow,
It's really weird.
that's nuts.
Yeah, but it's so incredibly good. Yeah, spoiler alert. Sorry, in reverse, I guess, but it's been out
Hey,
for a while.
if you heard that, rewind in a parallel universe back like 5 minutes.
Maybe in a parallel universe where like big famous like podcast stars.
Come on, Ty. They say anything's possible, but like that's a stretch.
You never know.
There's probably one universe.
Yeah, like
And you know what? Okay, actually, you know what's insane about infinity? Okay. So, infinity is such a crazy concept. So, let's imagine there's infinite universes, right? And there's like it's so hard to explain. So I exist in this universe as a male. But since there's infinite possibilities, there's universe where I'm a woman. And
Or
there's
genders that don't even exist.
Right.
Here.
Exactly, because infinite possibilities. There's, so let's say in most of these universes, I have two eyes. But in like a couple universes, I only have one eye. But since it's infinite, there are infinite universes where I only have one eye.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's literally infinite.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, well, there's only one or two universes where I have 3 feet. No, there's infinite universes where I have 3 feet.
Yeah, just never ending.
It boggles the mind to think of it
every
that
single
way.
possibility, there's infinite of those ones.
Yeah, because let's say, well, okay, so only in 1% of the universes do I have black hair. But that 1% of infinity is still infinity.
Yeah. It's a crazy concept.
Yeah. It's weird to think of it like that, isn't it? So it's like, yeah, in half the universes I'm male and half the universes I'm female, but they're both infinite.
Yeah.
So, but those infinities are smaller than the infinity that includes all the universes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can split the infinity of universes in half, and I'm male in half and female in the other.
Yeah.
And those go on for infinity, but they're smaller than the total infinity that combines both of them.
Yeah, it's still infinite, but it's smaller somehow.
But it's a smaller infinity, which doesn't make any
It doesn't
goddamn
make
sense.
Yeah, that's one of those.
It's almost like a paradox.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Some infinities are bigger than the others, and that doesn't make any sense at all.
I love the idea of parallel universes, and I think at this point, like they obviously can't confirm it, but I think it's I wouldn't even say it's accepted, but they say it's a very credible theory.
Plausible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think would be a good word. There's no way to confirm nor deny, but it's definitely plausible. There's no reason it can't be a thing.
I always thought
Hence the Mandela effect.
Stop it. I always thought the most logical idea for the Big Bang, just the one that I like, is that there was a previous universe before and it collapsed because it got so big and it collapsed in on itself to the singularity, in which point it exploded again. They call it the Big Crunch, and they say it's a possibility for ours to happen again.
So what makes it, because our universe is expanding. So what
faster and faster and faster.
So what would make it go back to that singularity?
If it reached if it somehow reached a point where it got to where it couldn't expand anymore, which we don't even know if that's something that could happen.
Right.
But if it does, if it gets to that point and it would close back in on itself, maybe it gets so heavy or something that it just collapses in on itself again.
Oh, so the mass of the universe itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
It becomes too much for it to handle.
That's interesting. And then it just kind of, so it starts to,
and then it just
close in instead of expand. Okay. That's interesting.
Then there's the theory that since everything's expanding and it's actually accelerating, that eventually, because every single thing is getting farther away from each other, and that eventually the universe will run out of heat, and they call it the Big Freeze.
Yeah.
Because everything will be too far apart from each other for there to be any suitable warmth to survive,
That's
any
terrifying.
life to survive.
Isn't that terrifying?
Yeah.
I saw a thing where there's this galaxy that you can actually see with the naked eye on a clear night, and it's the closest galaxy to the Milky Way.
Andromeda.
Yeah. That's the one.
It's the name of the Mass Effect. Fourth Mass Effect. Blah, blah, blah.
It's a blah, 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 blah.
The fourth Mass Effect game.
And so this guy said that it's actually getting closer to us, and it's getting closer to us at a super fast rate. Like,
yeah, they're actually on course to collide.
Yeah.
They will collide eventually. Yeah.
But it's going to take I want to say billions of years with a B.
Yeah.
But it's funny because this guy was saying this is what it looks like now in the sky, and you could see that it was a galaxy even with the naked eye on a clear night. And but he's like, in a billion years, this is what it'll look like, and it's bigger than the moon. You can actually see this swirling galaxy in the sky, and that would be so cool.
You know what's bizarre is we don't actually have a picture of our own Milky Way.
Nope.
Anytime you see someone say or like
Like
see
this is the Milky Way.
yeah, it's either a different galaxy or it's like an artist's rendition.
It's their best estimation. It's their best estimate of what
Estevezation, Emilio Estevez.
Yes, it's the best Emilio Estevezation of what they think the Milky Way looks like.
Like I think usually they just use Andromeda because it's pretty close. It's also a spiral,
yeah.
And they just use it because it's easier. But
how do they know we're a spiral? I'm sure they know somehow.
Yeah, I'm not positive.
But and somehow they think that we're like in one of the arms.
Yeah,
I've showed where they're like, this is where our solar system is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so scientists at NASA are so fucking smart.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, like our solar system is just a drop. Our entire solar system is just a drop in this gigantic galaxy.
Yeah, our galaxy is a tiny little drop in the universe.
Our galaxy is it's like a speck in like this, even just this little section of the universe.
Yeah, which makes me feel so insignificant.
Yeah. My parents got me this space book for Christmas one year, and it actually shows like comparable sizes, like up to the known universe's size.
Yeah, and it's terrifying.
Yeah,
one of my favorite images of all time, and I was actually talking to Lexi about this the other day because it came across my Facebook feed again. But however many years ago, I don't remember, but they aimed a super high powered telescope at an area of the sky where they couldn't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like an empty black space in the sky where there weren't any visible stars.
Yeah, there's a void. There's a name for that. It's like the big void or something
like that. And they aimed a super high powered telescope, the most high powered at the time, I think, and captured an image of what they expected to see nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And the image came back with hundreds of
galaxies. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
And they thought there was nothing there.
Yeah.
And you see all these hundreds of galaxies, and it's like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah. And all those galaxies were like at the top, like what we see in that image, are, that's got to be thousands of years old.
Billions
of years.
Yeah, because however many billions and or trillions of light years away those galaxies are, that's how long it took the light to get here.
I don't think it can be trillions because the universe isn't that old. I thought it was
that's fair. I don't know.
I think it's like 15 point some billion years old.
Okay. Well, let's say however many odd billions of light years away they are.
Like those galaxies that you see pictures of were probably around towards the early parts of the universe's existence.
They're definitely not in that position anymore.
No.
Which
they're
is
even still around.
So fucking weird to think of. Like, we look up and see a star that's 2 billion light years away.
Yeah. Could already have supernova.
What we're seeing is the light from 2 billion fucking years ago.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, like it could already be dead and we wouldn't even know.
All of them could be.
Yeah.
Except our sun. That's the only one we're sure of.
Yeah. Well, at least for the next 8 minutes.
Yep. We're sure of it for the next 8 minutes. Isn't that weird to think of?
If the sun burns out, we won't know it for 8 minutes.
Yeah, but we just look up at the sky and just see the sun shining. Mm-hmm. It doesn't click that it takes 8 minutes for the light to reach. The idea that light travels is such an odd concept for my brain to understand.
Because it's so incredibly fast. You turn the light switch on and boop, it's light.
And it's there. But yeah, you don't think about it. Because you click on like a laser light and I can shine it all the way across town. If it's a high powered laser, I can hit a building 3-4 blocks down the road.
And it's a snap.
And it's there immediately.
As soon as you push it.
Yeah. But to travel across space, it actually takes time to get from one place to another.
286,000 miles per second.
Excuse me? That's it's insane to me.
Yeah, a lot of people think light year is an amount of time.
Yeah, it's a distance. It's how far light travels in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's interesting that we can experience the speed of sound.
Yeah.
And the first time I remember experiencing it was watching fireworks as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
If you're far away from the firework, you'll see it explode, and then you'll hear it go off a couple seconds later.
Yeah. Or even lightning and thunder.
Yeah, which I never thought of necessarily at first as a kid. you see the lightning strike, and then it could be 30 seconds later, depending on how far away it was, and then you'll hear the thunder.
That's how I was always told to
you
to
count.
measure how far away it is.
I'm sure there is a mathematical way to figure that out.
I think because they say like a second is roughly like a mile, equivalent to a mile.
So you see
Roughly.
the lightning, count 5 seconds, hear the thunder. Oh, that was 5 miles away.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not exact, but it's
It's
close.
It's a close estimate, I'm sure. Yeah, but I remember doing it with the fireworks, and I remember asking, like, why is that happening?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why am I seeing it go off and not hearing it?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, the sound has to travel. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to my 5-year-old brain. Like,
Have you ever been to like a professional baseball game? Mm-hmm. Like it's like sitting in the outfield or whatever, and you see them swing, but you don't hear the
you don't hear the crack of the bat until
for like a second later.
Yeah, the ball's already in the air, and then you
Yeah.
hear the crack.
It's so weird.
So
it's
weird.
delayed by like half a second.
And isn't it weird that our sight relies on the speed of light?
Yeah.
So you see that ball flying because that's how fast the light reflected off that ball and hit your
And
eyeball.
got back to your eye. Yeah. It's bizarre.
It's super weird.
And like colors themselves, like,
Color doesn't exist without light.
yeah. It's like whatever color it is, how does it work? You're like, you have a red shirt on. So that fabric, that color absorbs every color except for red.
Right.
It doesn't absorb red. So that's what we see. And that's how it works.
And like white absorbs like everything.
None of the colors.
Or none of them. And then black absorbs
All of them.
All of it. Yeah. Did you listen to the most recent Citation Needed episode?
I don't think no, I haven't gotten a chance
Okay.
to.
Well, they talk about the blackest black paint.
I've seen a video on the guy who, like, he painted a whole room that,
Yeah, and you can't see anything.
like, even turned on a light bulb and you can still, like, only see right in front of his face.
Yeah, it absorbs 99 point something % of all visible light. So you can paint an object that color and it just becomes a void.
Yeah.
And you can't see any. It's so fucking
It's
weird.
crazy. Yeah, they have other colors that they can, well, not that specifically, but, like, I saw one on this color that's, like, the pinkest pink there is. And,
Yeah.
like, you see it on a video, but they're like, what you're seeing on this video isn't actually what it looks like.
Yeah, because your phone's like screen can't show this pink.
Yeah, because it's like not an actual color that our TVs know.
Yeah, like
Or phone.
Because our screens do like what is it, the red, green, and blue usually, and with a mix of red, green, and blue, you can make like any color depending on how they do it. But they can't make that pure of a pink color using the red, green, and blue.
Yeah, that's just bizarre to think of.
Right.
Isn't it crazy to think like there's probably colors out there that we
Oh, there are.
don't know?
There's colors that we can't perceive, or at least shades that we can't perceive.
Yeah.
Like we could put 2 shades of orange side by side, and we're like, yeah, that's the exact same shade. But a different species, even a different species on Earth right now, could probably tell the difference between them.
Yeah.
Because I've heard there are other animals that have better cones or whatever they call it in your eye that perceive color, and they can see more colors than we can. I know there's species that can see like ultraviolet light, and we can't.
Birds I know can see magnetism. Like they can see magnetic waves in
That's
the air.
so fucking weird.
That's how they like know how to travel north or south.
Okay, I always wondered how they knew that. And what's crazy is like how good some animals' visions are. Like they're like a hawk can see a mouse at night.
Yeah.
In the grass. Like
Yeah.
it's so crazy.
And you know, cats, like I always wondered why this wasn't. It makes sense. Cats are meant to see like that too, like far away, like tiny little creatures scurrying around, and so they can see things far away. But like if you put a treat or something right in front of their face, like sometimes they'll look around before they notice where it is.
Yeah, because their up close vision isn't as good.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's funny.
They're funny.
They are funny.
Remember when we started talking about anime at the beginning?
I was sitting there thinking, like, how the hell did we get to talking about the universe?
Ty was like, well, we can start with anime, but I don't know how long we'll be able to talk about that. And I'm like, don't worry, we'll end up on a different subject by the end of it.
Yeah, that's right. It's because we somehow started talking about video games, and you mentioned BioShock at parallel universes.
Yep, and here we are.
Yep. We are interesting.
Are we?
Very.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
At least
in my
we
mind.
think so.
Yeah. Well, that's all that matters.
That's all that
isn't it?
matters.
Yeah.
We're the only ones listening.
Fuck you. Fuck you, listeners. We don't care what you
I don't
think.
give a goddamn.
We don't do this for you.
That's a joke. That's a joke. I take it back.
I mean, don't stop listening, but I mean, just know that
Just know that I don't care about you at all.
not even a little bit.
Not even like not one iota.
But just do keep listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we just don't care. That can go together, right?
Yes. Because we say so. It's our show and we do what we want.
I'm Ty.
I'm not.
That's true.
All right, we're spiraling. We're spiraling.
We're on social media,
We are Facebook, Instagram,
Twitter, and YouTube.
that's the ones, and we're on every podcast thing that exists. We think,
Yeah. believe
unless
so.
you know of some obscure ass fucking thing where you can get podcasts that we don't know of, but in which case, stop.
Like, oh man, you guys aren't on Closet Door
You aren't on closetdoor.podcast.net
org.
.gov. But yeah, we probably are on that too, to be honest.
Probably.
So, yeah, check us out on all that. Leave a comment.
Leave a comment like that one guy did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that totally real person that wasn't a bot.
Yeah. Or no, it was a girl. Wasn't
It doesn't matter. It wasn't a real human being, Ty.
It was a girl's picture.
It was definitely a picture of a human girl in the picture. Yes. But yeah, I guess that is all we have to say on that.
And we will see you next time. Do you want to be in charge of the volume?
I'm kinda, yeah, like right. Well,
What about there?
yeah, that. Well, yeah.
Still too loud?
No, say something.
Hello.
That's good.
You sure? I don't know. It's still
Not
just
entirely.
a little too loud.
Yeah.
Oops, I just moved the screen.
Oh, turn down. Yeah, I think that's right where it was when we started.
No, it's a little less.
Maybe. Oh
I'm
no,
hearing
it's doing,
crackling.
yeah, it's doing the thing.
God damn it.
God fucking damn it. What? No, say that again.
We've done this before, I think.
Really?
Yeah, the arsonist had oddly shaped feet. It's from Anchorman. It was one of the things he was saying before he was warming up.
Really?
Before going on. Yeah.
Why? But that's like not really hard to say, is it?
I don't know. He was enunciating. He was
The
moving.
arsonist had
The
oddly
arsonist
shaped
had
feet.
oddly shaped feet.
All right.